Yeah, thank you.
Happy
Thank
to
you
see
very,
you.
yeah. And a very warm day to one and all, and especially to the chief resource person of the day. We are eagerly awaiting. I'm Dr. Balachandra Devi, the co-convener of this session. And yeah, it's a very, very informative and a very useful one. And I really congratulate Dr. Jayanti for landing up on such a innovative one and the need of the hour, especially. So all the best to all the team. And
Thank you
thanks
so
for this
much for your kind
opportunity.
words, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Please be on the session, sir, ma'am. Yes,
Sure,
now
sure,
you
sure.
can start.
Pleasure is mine. Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Sorry for the inconvenience, Dr. Sir. I'll start the session. Welcome, everyone. Uh, Welcome the challenges and look for opportunities in every situation to learn and grow more in wisdom. With these words of Pranitasi, I welcome you all to the second day of e-seminar. To these organized by Sri S. Ramasamy Naidu Memorial College, Satturu, and APC Mahalakshmi College for Women, Thoothukudi, in collaboration with I Spell Tamil Nadu Forum on the topic Net, Set, Go, Crack NTA Net. We have completed the first day of the session successfully, and now we are entering into the second day of intellectual feast. Rise up, start fresh, see the bright opportunity in each step. It's my privilege to introduce our resource person, Mr. K.J. Anandakrishnan. And this day brings a wonderful opportunity to learn more about digital theories. And here we have the most intellectual personality, Mr. K.J. Anandakrishnan, research scholar, Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Trivandrum. It's very apt to mention Mr. Anandakrishnan as a great Lecturian, holding more awards and triumphs. He is the youngest translator of Tirukural to English. He is the winner of Sashwatama Marka Gold Medal from University of Kerala for being the best orator at University of Kerala, Colorado. He has also received Bhagwan Sri Buddha National Award 2021 and Asian Education Award 2021 for the Best Young Teacher. He is currently Junior Research Fellow at the Department of English, Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit. He has published several books, and some of them are The Scribbler, The Stretched Angles, a poetic experimental collaboration of 5 South Indian poets, Empire and Ecstasy, Beyond the Island, Chaucer's Daughter, Thiruvalluvar's Tirukkural, translation to English, and Makers of Modern English. He previously worked as Assistant Professor of English at Emmanuel College, Trivandrum. He is a multidisciplinary personality who has got masters in history, anthropology, economics, and philosophy. A multidisciplinary personality with multi-talents is on the dais today to deliver a lecture on the topic Literary Theories, Letter. Welcome, sir. It's an honor to have you on this virtual platform.
Thank you so much. The more the introduction, the more will be the suspicion. So I'll just try my level best to play this game of make believe. In the next, is my audio clear?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. In the next couple of hours, to make sense of what we are talking about, or at least try to do so. Now, we are talking about UGC NET, or which is now termed as NTA, National Testing Agency NET. So we usually have many misconceptions about this particular exam. Before we get into this particular session where we'll be discussing literary theory and the clutter associated with it and the ways in which we mess it up, like anything. Before getting to our core area today, we'll be discussing about something very, very important as far as the exam is concerned. Now, when you think about NTA, usually the first thing, the biggest misconception associated with this particular exam is that you will have to study everything. So I am pretty sure that yesterday's session was quite enlightening. I was just skimming through the session, which was uploaded on YouTube, where all the technicalities and the aspects of uh, appearing for that examination was clearly delivered by the speaker, all right, honorable speaker yesterday. Now, today we'll be discussing, this particular session in two parts. First of which we'll be talking about the misconceptions regarding the exam, and the second part regarding literary theory. Now, coming to the first part, primarily we all think that we have to study everything, each and everything, every nook and corner of every cramped space in literature to clear this exam with and come out with flying colors. And if you have to clear JRF, even more so. Now, primarily, what I want to tell you is that for every competitive exam, smart work works rather than hard work. It is very true that we'll have to gain as much knowledge as possible before we leave the face of this planet. But that's not the game here. At least for this examination, it might be very hard to digest this truth. But my friends, let me be very clear: you won't have to mug up everything regarding literature, and you can't literally to clear this exam. This exam has got proper guidelines to be followed. So if you go to play a game of football, yesterday was the UCL final, so football it be. So if you go to a game of football and you are playing in a team, what is a primary requirement? It's to know the rules of the game. So while you appear for UGC NET examination or the NTA NET examination, the primary requirement is to know the rules of this exam, which is for us is a syllabus. So we have a proper syllabus structure to be followed. Uh, to be very clear, after 2013, UGC has made it very clear what will be asked and what will not be. So you can focus on areas which are properly designated to be studied, and that is a primary thing that is to be done. So you don't have to mug up everything. Second, you'll have to know the thrust areas. See, what are the areas which are focused upon in the early years, which can only be done by scanning through the question papers. Like, I'm not just talking about question papers after the change of the syllabus pattern, but I even request you to go to at least 2008. It's all readily available online, and I am quite sure that questions are also available at arpitakaroa.com, which provides you a chance to do. I mean, I'm not asking you to go and take up a premium membership, and let's be very clear on that. Now, you can go there and do your free, previous year question papers, and come back. You can readily do that. Now, when you start with your question papers, what I'm asking you is to do it the annotated way. How annotated? You can just go to the question papers, start answering it, and then go through all the wrong answers. So wrong answer is a right answer for us here, because you'll have to go annotate them and to understand why they are wrong more than why I have written the right answer. So if you have written the right answer, you have lost your chance to study more. So every wrong answer is a step to knowing more and making more right answers. So that is the first thing that you'll have to do. Now, the thing is, as I told you, see, gaining knowledge as far as students of literature, at any age, let it be 50 or let it be 25, at any age you are a student of literature. So gaining knowledge about literature is pretty much a very important thing. And one significant loss as far as preparation for NET is concerned is losing the surprise element of many books. So most of you might be familiar with this dirtiest part as far as NTA is concerned, knowing the entire storyline of a novel before even getting to read it. So I request you to I don't know how many of you are reading the summaries altogether. Um, Quite unethical a practice, but still unavoidable. Well, uh, where can you gain marks, and where I'm going very practical. This was my way of approach as far as you know uh, UGC NET exam is concerned. So today I'll be taking you through my process of preparation for the examination, and I garnered somewhere around 65%. Yeah, somebody has risen their hand. Is there a problem?
Maybe it was accidental.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, fine. So my process, the entire process of going, I mean, to appear for this examination was very simple for me. So it was in my second attempt during my second year of post graduation that I cleared JRF. So first attempt it was UGC NET, and the second attempt it was JRF. So I'll tell you what took me from net to JRF rather than from zero to net. See, uh, let me ask all this 87 odd friends, among which many may be teachers, but at least 80 might be students who are aspiring to clear UGC net. Never study for this examination just to clear NET, you won't clear it. Make it very clear in your mind that you're going to clear JRF, which will be very hard. Basically, it's almost like last time it was 1.6% or so, I think. But let me make it very clear. Prepare for UGC JRF. An average would be somewhere around 60 to 65% that you should have an aggregate to clear this particular area. So my strategy was very simple. Now, how many of you have prepared for your paper one? Yeah, I can see. How many of you started preparing for paper one? See, paper one is one of the most important things as far as clearing UGC NET hash JAF is concerned, because your marks in aggregate largely depend upon this UGC paper one. I'll tell you very simply why. See, if you are prepared well, I mean, I'm saying it very clearly. If you're prepared well, there is high chance that you may clear about 50% in your core subject paper. 50%, right? 30% is give or take. It's almost a game of sheer luck. And the next 20% is the unassailable. So basically, this particular area, this 20%, let's leave it aside and let's talk about this 30%. 50% will be very much direct. So take my word for that. 50% questions will be direct. And next we'll have this 30%. 30% is all about intuition. See, and intuition is, don't think that intuition is something that comes all from the thin air and we'll just collect it and process it somehow to create answers. Intuition is ultimately the result of all that we have gathered on the way. It's purely logic. And for logic, we'll have to have information to be worked upon, at least subconsciously by our mind. It's all about knowing everything, right? So, first step is, I mean, this is your subject paper. So, to know that, you don't have to read everything in detail. Primarily, you'll have to have an understanding of what is what and which is where. To have a general sense about maybe the history of literature, where are these eras placed. So every year you will have this kind of a question saying chronologically arrange these authors or books. Why do they ask this question? They have been asking this from 2008 till now. So that is a clear indication at what UGC won. Now, when you do your PhD or your MPhil dissertation, we are doing a very detailed analysis of a particular subject area with a focus on a particular aspect. UGC NET is very general. So there they require a generalist. What are they searching for? They're searching for an assistant professor. So to know the very nature of examination is very important. They are searching for a generalist who can start teaching as an assistant professor at a graduate college. That will be the basic, right? So from a graduate college, you'll be starting your teaching. Then think about it. They require a person who can understand and comprehend all the significant areas being provided to him. Just comprehend. That is a basic thing. So you don't have to go in depth. Anyway, there will be this 20% questions that will be asked on in-depth question. For example, one year there was a question about the name of a dog in Women in Love. So that was eventually a question that made us all laugh. The options were even more interesting. Lulu, there was this Hilu. I mean, this was these were the options that were given. I'm not making fun of the NET, NTA or anything. See, this was a question, and the options were so absurd. Lulu, Hilu, Bismarck, and some other dog's name. The answer was Lulu. But this is a way in which that 20% questions are asked, and 30% is somewhere, are somewhat intuitive, as I told you. Like, it purely depends upon your logic to be worked upon. So 50 plus 20 will take us around 60, right? So we'll just take it for granted that you get somewhere around 45. I mean, like, let's say 50% marks in your core paper, 50%. Okay, not 50 marks, 50%. Now, if you have 70% marks in your paper one, and which is highly possible, my percentage was somewhere around 75. There is absolute chance that you will clear your JRF. Got the idea? If it's the other way around, it's not possible. See, think about getting 50% marks in your first paper and 50% mark in your second paper. You won't get there. But if you do your first paper well and your performance in your core paper is average, still you have chance to get through net. And I'm talking about the general merit marks. Okay, my marks were somewhere around 66% for UGC NET. Now, what I'm telling you is to focus on your first paper as well, because second paper is a wild chance. It's almost like playing the Russian roulette. You don't know whether you will get shot or you will shoot. The entire game about the first paper is that you will know what area, in what areas questions will be asked. For example, if you are quite worked your days with comprehension skills and your reading speed is improved significantly, five questions will be there, and you will be clearing them all in flying colors and within no time. See, it's a very easy thing to do if you prepare well. And first paper depends much upon continuous preparation. What I request is that if you are a serious, aspirant for UGC NT, then what I would request you to do is at least every 4 or 5 days you'll have to brush up on your first paper. Give ample time for your second paper, but at least once in 5 days, once in 4 days, you'll have to just go through your first paper and understand the intricate areas to be covered. Then there will be another question. So this is where in another 5 minutes we'll be stepping into our core area today. So there will be another question from you. Should I join a coaching class or anything? If you ask me, I haven't. The preparation was all mine actually. So the idea is all about every coaching center provides you an option to understand the exam basically, and that is where all the change happens. To understand the exam and how to prepare for it, it is basically strategy that works there in every coaching center. Now, almost the strategy that I've used to understand these things, to create a understanding of the environment associated with this particular syllabus area, and the way in which the preparation was done, getting a comprehensive idea of everything, will be shared with you while we discuss this particular area of literary theory. Now, whatever you study, usually people say that you keep your short notes, near me, near you, go through exam questions, blah blah blah. You get all those sort of advices. Usually it is said that there are two types of fools. One is giving advices, and uh, one type of fools give advices, and the other type of fools take advices. Well, anyway, now I think I'm fairly on the farmer side, giving advices. So at this particular juncture, let me tell you, why you understand a particular area. For example, literary theory that we'll be discussing in another minute. See, how should you approach this particular area for EGC in this one, National Testing Agency, NET. See, the strategy will be very, very simple. It's all about knowing it in whole and decide parts in detail. You'll have to have an idea about what this is all about. So usually what we do in our postgraduate days as well as our UGC NTA preparation dates is that we have split our literary theory areas into several parts, which will be split across various, hours. For example, if one day will be, it will be literary theory of paper, right? So we don't chronologically understand the development of literary theory or its gradual evolution. Basically, let me make it very clear that literary theory, my friends, is not a subject which is absurd. What we usually tell, what our memes tell us, what our common class discussions tell us is that this is an absurd, has got no connection at all. But my friends, let me tell you, if you were to understand literary theory, basically it's a legitimate extension of Western philosophy. So it's almost, to make it very simple, literary theory is basically making every abstract aspect in our literary studies a concrete one. So basically it's almost like giving a form to the formless. So how does it work, and what does it mean to us, and how should you understand it is very important as far as a student of literature is concerned. Whenever you approach, even whenever you approach, the exam. So what I'll be trying to do today is to create a structural framework. Structural framework has got, large implications as far as literary theory is concerned altogether. But to give a structural framework to study anything, for example, if you study Chaucer, or when you study, let's say, we have this particular area for NTS, as the syllabus rightly says, Chaucer to Elizabethan age. So there they have specified specific areas there. For example, if I can read them, Chaucer is a Gower. Then you've got Langland. So you have got particular areas specified, and then you can go directly and analyze those particular writers, select a few works which are focused upon, and then you can work on. But what about literary theory? What about ELT? What about the literary terms that are asked generally? So the question and the nature in which the nature of the questions being asked is also changed. Now it's not direct. Nobody will be asking you this question, who wrote elementary structures of kinship. No, it is changed, and now they are asking, and moreover, the exam is descriptive. To use a theoretical term itself, you have been interpellated in such a way that you don't understand that you are going to appear for a descriptive examination. Basically, this is a descriptive examination in disguise. How? Because there, I mean, I hope you have all seen those questions where 4 or 5 facts are provided, saying that this is structuralism started in this particular year. Structuralism has got this impact on society. Structuralism led to this. Structuralism, these are the most famous structuralists among the four options, which are right and which are wrong. 1, 2, 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 3, 4 and 1. These are the type of questions which we get now from literary theory. So how to understand them is also the aim of today's session that we'll be doing. So keeping this in mind, how should we approach literary theory? The primary idea is to have a concrete understanding of how this developed gradually. So we'll be doing it today with the help of a few slides. We'll be going through it. I'll be just giving you a brief walkthrough. Think about it as football highlights. Okay, let's think about it as football highlights. We'll be going through the major areas, just going through it and how to make a sense of it. I'm giving you a framework to work upon. Where do you place your structuralism? Where do you place post-structuralism? Where do you place all this? For example, we have been studying it all differently. Like if there is, when I still remember in my college days, where when we studied postgraduate days, one teacher will be teaching structuralism, the other will be teaching Marxism, and structuralism might be halfway through when a teacher starts Marxism. It's basically all about, you can't do anything about it because basically it's a semester system. So we'll have to finish everything in 6 months. So a student who is half baked with structuralism will start studying Marxism. Then out of the blue, some post-structuralist idea will be coming in. Then you will be studying about post-truth. Then you'll be studying about postmodernism. So all together. So in one single week, you'll be studying theories which are separated, across even decades in the 20th century. So things are so messy out there. So what we'll be doing today is to clear that mess. We'll be, as the title goes, we'll be decluttering it. Now, can we begin that particular session? I hope, are there any questions regarding the examination, or should we go for it towards the end of the session? Hello?
I think you can go to the theories. So
Yeah,
if any questions are there,
yeah, sure. So ask them towards the end. Fine.
yes.
Hope the slide is clear.
It is yet to be presented. Another question. We are not able to. Yes, is there.
Hope it's a 1950s slide, right?
So you are presenting the slide through another.
I hope it is. Is it clear?
Yes.
OED celebrating 90 years, 1950s, right? So why 1950s? That is a big question. See, it was in 1950s that we see the proper
Under
establishment.
question, we have the beginning of it. Can you make it as a slideshow?
Now,
Yes,
is that
now
visible
we
now?
are seeing the 1950s.
Okay, fine. So
Can I
we'll
please
go like
read?
these are just pointers, so it's not a big deal to worry about. So if we go by the history of evolution of literary theory, 1950s is a very important year to be thought about. After post 1950s, we see a group of scholars inspired by structural linguists, including Saussure, coming up with concrete ideas that they gave a concrete framework to the abstract thoughts that were earlier presented in a way. So when we talk about structuralism, basically, let me also talk with my dear friends here. So how many of you can somebody give me a explanation of structuralism? Let's do it this way. This is open for anyone and everyone. You can even type. Like, give me an explanation. You don't. Yeah, we will, yeah, signifier, signified. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So usually we go with a particular concept that whenever we are talking about structuralism, we usually talk about structural linguistics, right? So structuralism is an entirely different game. It's basically an idea. I'll make it very clear in a single sentence. Analysis, sign, signifies. Yeah. Usually we tend to think about structuralism as sign, signifier, signified, because that is how our syllabus has made us think. See, structuralism, let me make it very simple. Structuralism is basically an idea that thinks about every social practice, everything that we see around. This structuralism is not even limited to philosophy or literature. Structuralism is basically a form of thought as far as philosophy is concerned. It's all about thinking in structures. Very simple. So we are making it very simple. Structuralism is thinking in structures. Whenever you see a social phenomenon, when you see a marriage, whenever you see a student writing, whenever you see a pen, eventually, whenever you see anything with a structure, you think about how it works. Basically, that is the first thing that you have to keep in mind. You okay? No, yeah. It's not an issue. We'll go with the slide later on. So it's all about working in. I'll just show you. Okay, one second. Thinking in structures, basically. Now, when you think in structures, what does a structure basically possess? See, what are the ideas associated with a structure? A structure will have various components. So that is a basic thing, a structure with various components. And this is where what you said comes in. Signifiers, signified and everything, right? So when you're talking about language, sign, signifier, signified, everything matters. So structuralism, the process of the way of thought called structuralism in linguistics produces something called structural linguistics. So basically, it's a structuralists believe in grounded knowledge. They believe that societal reality is operated by science. And to make it very simple, like the very sentence, if you can make it very, very, very simple, operated by science or grounded knowledge. What does this all mean? That is a basic question. So we have got this structure. Let's think about our classroom. What is the structure of a classroom? Where you have got the teacher, we have got the students. But what have the structuralists ventured to find out? It's basically not a detailed study of the objects in that particular classroom, that is a teacher or a student. It's all about the relationship that they were so focused upon. Why is a particular teacher standing at a particular point in dictating everything, where the student will have to take everything in for granted? What is the nature of the relationship between the student and the teacher? The class is a structure. The structure, you have individual component called the teacher and the student. What is a relation? Clear? Yes, exactly. Interpretation and analysis. Same thing, if you replace the same thing in language, that is where you get sign, signifier, signified. You have got a particular sign, which is a word, which has got these two components. See, structure and components. Signifier, signified, and you're trying to understand the relationship between the signifier and signified, which is arbitrary, right? Then they are looking into the nature of what the structure. Signifier and signified, what is this relation? Then they found out that there is no absolute relation between a signifier and signified. Yeah, we'll come to binary opposition next. Now, when you compare the signifier and signified, they found out that the particular relationship, the arbitrariness, is basically a result of the social construct. I mean, the social agreement. It's almost upon an agreement that you call a mango and a jackfruit a jackfruit. It's almost like naming yourself. You don't have to think about signifier and signified as very complex concept. For example, um, I've seen many names, so I'll pick something. Okay. For example, let us take Ananta Krishnan, me, right? So the signifier, that will be what? My name. And signified will be my body, or as you see it, or the person who's there. Now, it's about social contract. If the next day the society thinks about calling me something else, and I change my name in Gazette, uh, eventually you'll be calling me some other name. So everybody agrees upon a particular concept that this person is to be called this, or my father has said that this particular person is to be called this. So you'll start calling that person this by this name. Same thing in a larger context works in the society. Language is a very important part of our social life, and more so, Chomsky has said that language has created culture and not the other way around. So language plays a very important role. So in a society, it's about social contract and our cultural interactions, that things are named, things are referred to, and this is basically the surface level, okay, that we are understanding it. This is where we stop in our classes. Now let's take it to the next level, that signification is not just limited to words, right? Signification is not just limited to words. It also permeates to social practices, basically. And how in social practices? See, a particular ritual uh, in a particular geographical area won't make sense to you in another geographical area. Something that we do in Kerala will be taken in an entirely different light in Tamil Nadu, or this and our larger Dravidian culture might be seen in a very different light to a person from Northeast. So it differs from one place to other. So signification changes from every social group to other. So this is another dimension of studying structuralism. So whatever we are talking about, basically whatever we have thought about structuralism, or as a definition to structuralism, is basically a definition to structural linguistics. There is a good reason for that, because structuralism is basically something that developed with structural linguistics. Now, to make it very simple, structuralism is basically an interest in relationships or objects, and this relation between objects, if you understand it, we can understand the causes. I hope it's clear, right? Is it clear? Am I making sense here? Hello? Yeah.
Yes, sir, you're clear.
Right. Okay. Fine. Now, when we
Yes, sir, obviously.
okay, thank you so much. So,
Ananda Krishnan, I have a doubt. Your presentation is not visible.
yeah, it's okay. We'll get back to that.
Okay. Yes, yes. Each time you are changing the slide, that time only we are able to visualize it.
Oh,
Otherwise, it is just
it-
dark.
it-
I think.
it's okay. We'll look into that, ma'am.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I'll have to rush through, because studying literary theory, they're spending their good Sunday with me, so I'll have to rush through and kind of
I
deliver
understand.
through.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, by getting back to structuralism, we are talking about this one-to-one relation, or the relation between individual components in structure. Now, why do we study this? The structuralists want to tell you this: everything that we see has got a underlying cause. There is a cause for everything that you see. Let it be language, let it be a ritual, let it be the way in which you wear your shirt, the way in which you behave in the society. Everything has got an underlying structure. Or to put it in another way, structuralism is understanding the chain reaction of things. Structuralism, in a way, is understanding a chain reaction of things, how things are related to one another, and how has the larger visible, universe around you, which includes everything: language, culture, even your computer screens. Everything has got this underlying cause, which is to be understood. So, if you go and search for structuralism in your, your Google, if you don't trust me when I say that structuralism is not just about language, you can just go and give a search, and it will land you even in pages of economics, in science, in philosophy. It can take you anywhere. The influence of this particular structure linguists come all the way from 1910s to 1930s, where we see the formalist school being developed, which focused upon the form, which defined literature and not the content, which obviously is divided into two schools. Can you just give me the name of those two schools as far as the Russian formalists are concerned? Formalism is basically divided into two. One is its good American branch, which is named after a 1942 book, which is the Oppiers is basically a part of the. There are two types of formalist school basically. So we have all thought about formalism as a, I mean, this is a misconception that we think about formalism as another name for Russian formalism. Basically, Russian formalists and the new critiques are two different schools of formalism. So these formalists who were in Russia have got these two schools, Prague Linguistic Circle and the group from Moscow, included many brilliant structural, I mean, many brilliant linguists, including Roman Jacobson and Vladimir Prop. They brought forward a way of thinking differently, thinking about the structure, the very structure of language, analyzing it, understanding it, and thinking about the relationship between individual components in a language. Now, does structuralism stop there? And this made a profound influence, and especially the very famous lecture by we usually study this. We'll start somewhere around a course in general linguistics, and then we move on. But and we finish it somewhere around structural linguistics clues. That's all. But it gently moved on. Now, when we think about structuralism, this is a most important name. Can you see the screen now? Yeah. This is a most important name as far as structuralism is concerned. Claude Lévi-Strauss. Now, it was in 1949 that Lévi-Strauss met Roman Jacobson, and the relation gradually developed, and they exchanged ideas. As I said, they were interacting with one another regarding structuralism, regarding the structuralist academic output. And Lévi-Strauss has already been inheriting the tradition of American anthropology. So you've got structuralism and anthropology. To mix it together, you'll get the thoughts of Claude Lévi-Strauss. So this is where he analyzes the elementary structure of kinship, of the relationship, how relationships are manifested as a result of underlying causes. For example, he's talking about marriages in this particular book, in Elementary Structures of Kinship, where we talk about marriages. What he understands is that marriages, in whatever part of the world is concerned, in whatever part of the world, is basically, and this is quite a hard truth to understand and hard truth to gulp down, and that is the hard truth even today. What he tries to say there in Elementary Structures of Kinship is that anywhere in the world, marriages are basically the exchange of women and money. He's told it. So he's finding a structure in that particular ceremony of marriage, of sanctifying relationship between a man and a woman. If it's done by a group, it happens. The infamous dowry system, or meher that we'll be talking about, that we usually talk about. See, Lévi-Strauss was basically trying to understand and analyze this relationship. That is where what my good friend earlier mentioned, they believe that societal reality is operated by science. So basically, this is a function of marriage largely. That was specified by Claude Lévi-Strauss in Elementary Structures of Kinship. So you got structuralism first, then you add anthropology to this, and you will get the ideas of Claude Lévi-Strauss. Now, this is where things get interesting. At least I think this is where things get interesting. Now, you've got structural linguists, then you mix that with anthropology, you got Levi-Strauss, and these three men. Are you seeing the screen right now?
Yes.
Now, these three men mean a lot to us. Now, I'll tell you who they are and what is their significance in a minute. Now, I told you we have blended the structuralism, when linguistic structuralism, then you've got this linguistic structuralist coming to New York, literally meeting Jacobson, discussion, structuralism plus anthropology, you're getting Levi Strauss's ideas. Now, same structuralist idea plus Freud gives you Lacan. Making it very simple, Freud plus structuralism is equal to Lacan. How? Lacan tried to apply structuralism to psychoanalysis. When you study about Lacan, you'll be studying about mirror stage. You'll be studying about this layers of our mind which dictates our everyday being. You study about these structures of our mind that define our everyday routine, the way in which a man looks at his life. So basically, there is this particular structure working deep down. So he just blended structuralism to psychoanalysis, and you get, structuralism to psychoanalysis, and we get, structuralism to Freud, and we get psychoanalysis of Lacan. And who's the other guy on the left? We seldom identify these people, and it is not very much necessary as well. But still, I'm just trying the luck out. On the left, extreme left, the person on the middle is Lacan, and the far right, that is Freud. The left, when we try to understand, the major movements as far as psychology and psychoanalysis are concerned, who is the person on the far left? Any idea? If I tell you constructivism, what is a person? Who is a person who you associate with constructivism? Piaget. Have you? That's Piaget actually. Piaget, for example, his scientific views of, he gave us a very interesting idea. So usually we think about constructivism in a different light. The very simple truth that he said is that everything that we know about the world is basically constructed upon. Even scientific truths that we, tend to call them, that is how we call them. Basically, they are also constructs to clearly understand what this world, how this world is all about. Certain concepts that you can clearly comprehend, you create structures to replace them. That was his principal idea behind it. So what I wanted to convey here is very simple. Structuralism plus anthropology, you got Strauss. Structuralism plus Freud, you get this particular person. Now, how many of you can identify this person on the screen? I hope it's visible, right? Is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Louis Althusser for you. Structuralism plus what? Now, doing. So, yeah, sorry, that's a slip of a tongue. Now, leaving that to you. So, structuralism plus what gives you Althusser?
Marxism.
Marxism, exactly. So, structuralism, you're getting there. See, you are getting there gently. We have Louis Althusser, when he studied to analyze social relationships through a Marxist analysis plus structuralism, you get Louis Althusser. How so? It will be very clear when we discuss about uh, the ideological state apparatuses and oppressive state apparatuses. He's trying to make sense of how people are forced into doing certain things that eventually they don't even know that they are doing it out of not out of their free will. Ideological state apparatuses try to gently cajole you and to use the word interpellate you to things that the society deems right to be followed to follow a social order. For example, he has given you the examples of church, the institutions of family. Church, in a way, church is basically a reference to religion and the family, how it molds you somehow, and it has got implications upon our social life, our happiness, our well-being, everything. And if you don't follow that particular apparatus which governs your social life, then repressive apparatuses step in, where you see this use of brute force and violence to guide you and to make you follow the society. That is where army, policing, everything comes in. So see how it is all connected. Structuralism, then Marxist analysis, and you get Althusser. Now, it is post-structuralism. See, it is one of the most interesting areas. Post-structuralism, see, whenever a particular form of thought raises up, there will be a general tendency at questioning the very validity of that particular way of thought. So people were quite doubtful about the self-sufficiency of structuralism. Then they started asking questions. Okay, this started somewhere around 1960s. And why? Because one of the most important, uh, um, you know, landmarks of this 1960s post-structuralist movement happened in 1966. Oh, hope you're familiar with this particular year, 1966. Anybody? Anybody? 1966. It's very important. Structure, sign, and play in the discourse of human sciences. You know it, right? But you usually, yeah. So for deconstruction, this was a very important year. So what this was all about, post-structuralism, deconstruction, when we study that it's all just, absolute clutter that, that is in our minds. So what is it all about? See, they were trying to tell you something, that structure itself is not, you know, quite convincing. For example, the structure itself is quite complicated in a way that it creates hierarchies among individual components. So there is a structure, there are components, and there are hierarchies. And these hierarchies are created by something called binary opposition. One particular component is more important than the other, and that creates the hierarchy. And this is what deconstruction was is telling about. The very structure itself reveals its hierarchies. Now, when you think about hierarchies, structures, and everything, we'll have to understand that such hierarchies exist in every single phase of human life. Let it be language, let it be the relationship between a man and a woman, let it be caste, let it be color, let it be creed. Everything has got this particular hierarchy. So see, this particular post-structuralist notion that hierarchies exist within a system and to understand the underlying causes of these hierarchies are important gave offshoot to many forms of thought. For example, if you place the same thing in a colonial atmosphere and by around 1950s, 60s, world was getting free from colonies being established. Then we were so concerned about the relationship between the colonizer and the colonized, and we get the post-colonialist stream of thought, where we were thinking about why and what was the nature of this relationship. That does a particular relationship still leave its mark? Do the particular form of political control have any significant cultural impact upon the colonized or the colonizer? And to understand that complex relation and to comprehensively go through this particular idea, we got post-colonialism. And uh, jumping right from there to literature, you've got this man called Roland Barthes who uh, uh, published this very interesting book called Death of an Author, which tried to deconstruct the relationship between an author and reader. And in his Death of the Author, he's saying that after a writer presents his book, the author is deemed to be dead. Eventually, the book is then that of the reader. He picks it up and he reads the book, and the book becomes his. And multiple interpretations come in, and interpretations itself make the book many independent entities. And this was the idea that he was trying to convey across. You take the same hierarchies and uh, uh, and you know and superimpose them on gender relationships, you'll get feminism. So feminism itself is a larger branch to be understood. For example, what is a wave of feminism that we are in right now? Just a question out of curiosity. What is a wave of feminism? If I may know. Anybody? Hope I'm audible, right?
Feminism with queer theory?
Oh, we were thinking about this particular area. Like we talk very much about first wave feminism, second wave feminism, right? Third wave.
Okay. Women's liberation.
We're thinking
One
about,
of the,
yeah.
one of the participants just said fourth feminism.
Yeah, we are currently at a juncture called post-feminism, basically. So if there is enough time, we can just trace, because at least we need half an hour for discussion if somebody has got some questions. Well, if you understand feminism from its roots, see, which is not possible, which may require at least a series of lectures to understand feminism. You know, starting from 19th or early 20th century, you get this first wave feminist period where you basically focused upon political rights in a way. Political rights, when you hear the word politics in theory or anywhere from now on, you don't have to think about the electoral politics. Usually we tend to think about that as beginners in literature. Even in my college days, I was thinking in the same model. Politics is anything that involves two people. Make it very clear. So as far as first wave feminism is concerned, it was more political. It was thinking about equal contract, parenting, marriage, property rights, and eventually there was this Married Women's Property Act, which was passed in the UK, Then there was this adult suffrage, voting rights for women movement, which all were so active around the ending years of 19th century and the beginning years of 20th century. So we, as political rights, were there, but still there was no significant change as far as the status of women are concerned. So there was this woman, Simone de Beauvoir, um, who published a very significant book in 1949. What was that book? The 1949 book of Simone de Beauvoir. You all know that particular book. Well, we study it in detail. That is the second sex. And this particular book was trying to convey something. It is not about the political rights anymore. It's all about our cultural existence. And that is where she makes this very interesting statement that nobody is born a woman, culture makes them so. Then we start seeing these statements regarding gender roles and how a woman is made in their homes, how a woman is made to do certain things at their domestic spaces, and how a woman is in a way constructed. So social roles and how culture ascribes to women particular well-defined contours to work on was defined by Simone de Beauvoir in this particular moment. So from politics was a primary, the first wave. Second wave was cultural. Then gently we see the evolution of the third wave feminism. Third wave feminism is basically a very interesting area where we see the gender and post-gender realities at work, where we see a post-structuralist interpretation of gender and sexuality. We see many, feminist scholars emerging, and I highly request you to go through the third feminist scholars, including Gloria Anzaldúa, Bell Hooks, Audre Lorde, you know, um, and many more feminists who are involved in the third wave feminist movement. And this particular phase, as far as feminism is concerned, was very, very important, because it is from that point that we move on to gender, the politics of gender and the queer theory that we discuss in great detail nowadays. Now, from that particular point, we gently move on to fourth wave feminism. Fourth wave feminism is defined as something which started somewhere around 2012 and is associated with the use of social media. So you don't have to be much concerned about fourth wave feminism. I've barely seen questions, as far as UGC NET is concerned, but I have seen many, questions being raised about fourth wave feminism in UGC NET. But to understand it, fourth wave feminism is basically coincides with the Me Too movement and a larger enlightenment about the rights about women in their workplaces, their their places of study, and their even their domestic spaces, where we started to discuss more and more about domestic rapes, and it's more of a liberation than a protest altogether. But from there, we are now talking about post-feminism. See, we have all achieved second wave goals. That is what the post-feminists believe, but they are quite questioning the third and fourth wave feminism. Now, what they are telling is that, gender equality has already been achieved, but we are, when we say that women are not empowered enough, we are trying to derate the very stature of women in society, and saying that women are all very weak again and again eventually makes them weaker. And this was a basic argument that they raised in post-feminism. And you can, if you are interested in this particular area, you can go and read significant work from Amelia Johns, who's a very interesting art historian, or I've seen a very interesting article from Dorothy Chun, Dorothy space Chunn. Take it easy, girls. That was a particular article that was published by her in this particular. Uh, I think it's an edited volume called "Reaction and Resistance: Feminism, Laws, and Social Change." So you can come back to this particular lecture if you're interested to understand about this particular book. Will be there there online. So what I'm trying to tell you here is just asking you to understand it in context, where you place it, how you understand it, creating a proper contour to be worked upon, and to have a comprehensive understanding of what literary theory is generally about. And you don't have to mess it up. Now I've given this order of you, right? Starting from structuralism to post-structuralism, there is this legitimate development that you can understand. So place these particular areas in detail in each particular cells, which we have just chronologically drawn upon. So this is what I request you to do, and I think we'll go to the interactive part where you can ask questions, and if there are any doubts to be cleared or any arguments to be raised, we can discuss upon, debate upon. You can disagree upon my concept. That is also very much welcome. And dissent is a very important thing as far as democracy is concerned. We can also do that, and let's discuss and make the day fruitful. Hopefully, I have not troubled you much. Yeah, over to you. Over to the research department. Yeah.
Ananda Krishnan, we are not able to hear your voice.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
you're back. You're back. Yes.
Yeah, I think we'll go for discussions, ma'am.
Yes.
Are there any questions?
Ananda Krishnan, maybe you can just stop the presentation of the slideshow. Stop your presentation and have your video. Yes. Maybe you can switch on your video. Yes, yes. That's it. Yes, my dear participants, I hope you are ready for your questioning session. If you have any questions, you can post it in the chat box. Or you can unmute and clarify yourself. Because it is not such an easy job to give all the details in within a short span of time. So most probably we will be having more number of these sessions on literary theories, one a day or one duration, one particular maybe 1 or 2 hours for one particular theory, and that will in that way I think Ananda Krishnan will be able to do that justice. But this by itself was a very difficult task that was given to him. Thank you so much, Ananda Krishnan. Yes, let me see if there are any. Yes, I think there is a question over there. Yes.
The question is, how many hours do we need to study for net per day maximum?
Can you mute that mic if possible? Some mic on or something. Okay. Some voice coming in.
There is some buzzing noise coming over there, I think.
Yeah, this is. I think some other mic is on. Can you mute the mics if possible? Yeah. Now it's okay. Right. See, how many hours do we have to spend for UGC NET? This is a very interesting question. See, these are the type of questions that we want. Silly questions, but questions that really are very important. Silly, I'm not making fun of that question or anything. That is a very intricate thing, but that really makes real sense. How many hours a day? But excuse me for a second. Can I plug this to my laptop and just a second, okay? My battery is running low.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just
No,
a
no,
second.
no.
Just a second.
You can take your
Yeah.
maybe 1 or 2 minutes, right? Yes.
Just 2 minutes.
Yes. Welcome back.
I hope it's okay now.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Maybe
because
you
I have to
can.
move a bit. I'm sorry. Now, asking about the question, how many hours will you have to spend to crack net? The very simple answer is in two words. It depends. See, um, for each and every one of us, the capability for comprehending a particular topic differs. I'll give you a very simple solution for this. Spend your most happiest hour of the day for the most hardest thing in your life. That is the most simplest. Um, it's not an advice, it's from experience that I'm telling you. Is that, see, this is a very boring thing to do, basically. Let me make it very clear. Studying for any competitive exam is a boring thing. Let's not glorify it. Okay? This is basically all about competing with the next person and getting more marks than that particular person and eventually winning. I I hope that's very clear. That see, if you can just work for 1 hour or 30 minutes without any interruption, just do it. Finish it off. You are okay with working 3 hours, let it be. The thing is about spending a particular amount of time when you are very much okay with it, because to do a boring task, to do a thing that requires repetition and not any kind of a and not having any creative aspect about it, the best thing to do is to devote your best hours in a day and work on it. And you don't have to, I think, fixing a timetable eventually destroys everything. And who asked the question? Can I see the name, please? Kushbu, right? Are you here? Okay.
Can you please switch on your video, ma'am? My dear, that is Kushbu. Can you please switch on your video?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi. So, the thing is, how many hours do we need to study for net per day, right? So, I just want to ask you, like, are you working in a college? Are you doing your PG, or what is your current status?
Sir, I have recently completed my MA in March, April 2022, recently only.
Okay, fine. So you finished your MA and you are dedicating your entire day for this particular thing, right? I request you to face it out. Like, don't study a particular aspect. If you're doing it, on a regular mode, in a way that you are not focusing on anything else. I'm talking this about the students who have finished their post graduation and are working on UGC NTA or NET, right? So when you're doing that, the best thing to do is to face it out. Like, don't just stick on to a particular area for the entire day. You know why I'm telling you this is because, let's say you are working on Shakespeare, okay? So there is a general tendency that you will stick on to Shakespeare and go into every detail of Shakespeare's work. For example, if you are taking up Tempest, you'll be reading, into the details. Then you will go with every minor characters. You will go in detail, and that too about how many times this particular word has come in some absurd question will be there in a guide. There is high chance that you will go into detail. So if you are going through a particular area, don't spend more than 30 minutes or so into it, because then the devil comes in. Then there is high chance that you may get trapped in the particular area and you won't move on. So whenever, if you are preparing it very seriously, then think about it in such a way that tomorrow I'll be clearing these areas, not just Shakespeare. I'll look into a bit of literary theory, maybe a bit of ELT. Then mark it off. Like in your syllabus sheet, you can mark them off. Like, I've studied this, I will be moving. So that you'll have this tendency that you'll have to move through these particular areas quickly. From ELT, then to Shakespeare, from there to literary theory, from there to your first paper. And spare, if you're doing it on a full-time frame, you can also do your first paper on that day. And let me give you this advice, Kushbu. Begin your day, at least if you are doing it on a full day basis. I was I was teaching in a college, I usually did this to my students, and it worked well. Whenever you start studying for your NTA preparation, start with a question paper. You'll be more active. You'll be thinking. Your brain will be, much more active when you start your day with a question paper. Then there is some process going on up there. It's not like mugging it up. So there will be some sort of an analysis going on. You'll be comparing your questions. You'll be finding the answers. And how should you clear your question paper? If you don't know an answer, what will you do?
Search from the Google.
Exactly. Research from the Google, and don't hide the fact that we don't know a particular thing. Accepting the fact that we don't know it gives you information, significant information regarding that particular area. And search from Google, not only the right answer, but also we have the 3 wrong answers, right? What are these 3 wrong answers about? Note it down, try to understand in context and move on. Trust me, you will just have to do only 80% of the question papers by looking into Google. By the time you finish those 80%, there will be this 20% of question papers that you can answer on your own. Because you already know the wrong answers there. For NTA, NET, or any competitive exam, knowing the wrong answer is very important. So I request you, Khushbu, to, if you are working it on a full day basis, you can just go face it out in such a way that you don't bore yourself. Entertain yourself while you study, and spend your best hour into it. And more importantly, before doing anything, be happy. so that you stay energized the entire day. And wish you all the best lucks. Can you?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So I've got another question which says that, sir, can you suggest some important books which helps clear the exam? Better not go for any guides of sorts. Uh, Basically, you can go with your question papers, not guides, because these guide makers have this tendency to uh, you know create uh, guides with as many pages as possible so that it looks comprehensive. So better stick on to uh, your online resources and your syllabus. Just bus, that's enough. You can just stick on to your online resources and your syllabus. You can create a study plan of your own, basically. Now, if you ask me a question regarding literary theory, I'd request you, I'll just type it. You can just take it down. Mary Flags. That's author's name on your message. I'm not endorsing this book or anything. I don't know even the person. This is a professor from University of Colorado. And the book is published by Bloomsbury. But this book is quite interesting because things have been made so simple. You can read the work like a book of fiction. So this is my suggestion. For first paper also, you can get any sorts of online, if you even go to YouTube, you will get enough and more links to clear the easy way through, and not the conventional ways and everything. So you'll get to know about first
Another
paper and you.
question.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Another question. Can you suggest some links for the students? That way they can carry it. Even if it is not possible now, we have a group, so we can share it with them.
So if you want to read about any aspect of that matter, I found this interesting website called literariness.org. How many of you are familiar with this particular one? Okay. You can just, I think that is one of the best websites you can go to. I hope you are also part of the WhatsApp groups as well. So literariness.org is a very good site to work with, and if you are interested, you can buy my books as well. So I'll share the links in the PPTs and everything with Jayanti ma'am in another 2 or 3 days, and the essentials for studying UGC NET, some websites, some links, some PPTs and everything. So that will reach you, ma'am, in another 2 days.
Thank you. Thank you, Anandakrishnan.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question. So
Yeah.
I'm currently doing my PG, sir. So I find very little amount of time to spend for my UGC net preparation. So I'm going with any courses or book for UGC net preparation. They give some only gist of the topic, and the questions asked from that particular topic in a descriptive way. We are most of the time can't understand the question, or we can't able to answer the question. Could you give any suggestions? The descriptive type questions, as you said earlier, we can't understand that particular questions, even though we have prepared that particular topic.
Megha, right?
Yes, sir.
Megha, what semester are you right now in?
Final year, final semester, sir, of
Final
PG.
semester. So you might have all gone through the basics of literary history and everything. So what I request you to do primarily is that have your syllabus of do you syllabus possess something called prerequisites or background reading or something? I don't know about
No,
your
sir.
syllabus. Like there will be a specific area. I think if you go to your syllabus, there the core area or what all are to be studied before understanding a particular module. For example, if you have this module called post-colonial studies or something, you'll have the specified areas designated to be studied. So we'll all have to start with, if you are a student of student who's, so I was talking about Khushbu regarding her full-time preparation. Now let's talk about MA preparations, Nekha. Now, if you are doing your MA, first thing first, let's be very clear on that. We'll have to clear the basics first. So basically, a comprehensive understanding about your modules that you are studying. See, every postgraduate syllabus is designed in such a way that you will have a basic understanding about literary studies and its basic concepts. So it might be regarding literary history, it might be regarding ELT, it might be regarding literary theory. So the first thing that you have to clear is all about knowing the basics and then working on it. So why it doesn't make sense to you while you get this notes and everything is basically because they basically work on a trivia mode, like who's who, what is what, when is when. That is the only thing that they ever work upon, and not about the causation factor here. And as far, we're talking about structureless, right? So let's structure it up to understand the cause. We understand when you study something, you try to relate it with another work, another book. You just try to compare it and study. For example, questions may not be the way in which I told you, like among the following, if I ask you the question among the following, who among these are called structureless? Then you got all these options like Levi Strauss, Saussure. You usually have this tendency to just stick Saussure and be happy, but it's quite different. And even so, when you read more, you'll understand more interesting things. For example, Derrida, if you always prefer to be called a structuralist than a post-structuralist. So you'll all study this when you read more on it. So what I request you is not to read specific points provided by these odd institutes or coaching preparation institutes. Usually they tend to give you just points, just trivia on things. So better you don't read them. You skim through, even if the content that you receive from some sources so detailed, you can just skim through it. You don't have to by heart everything. See, by hearting everything will destroy the fun as well as the connection between events which are to be understood. So basically, it's all about reading everything and not by hearting everything. So basically, what happens is that if we are not quite okay with writing a descriptive answer, the underlying problem is that we have read things in parts and not as a whole. That is the entire intention of the session, to understand the approach, like understanding it in context, and that matters much. So I hope you have WhatsApp link for a NT group as well. The thing is that do your group work in such a way that it's a competitive exam, and doing it in a group obviously is a very interesting thing. But yeah, you will understand it in a while. But the thing is, when you do it in a group, you can start putting in materials, like trying to just Jayanti ma'am, hello, you there, ma'am?
Yes, I am here. Actually, that is a group we created for this particular session.
Last time I've been to the college, I've provided some
materials, right?
Yeah, materials and notes.
Yes.
I think
And questions also.
Yeah, Jayanti ma'am has got all those materials. You don't even have to buy my book. So
with your permission, if you give me the permission, I'll surely share with them.
You have at least about 300 or 400 plus notes. On detailed reading on all these areas are provided. Second thing, that is the most important thing. Before I forget that, see, there is one Bible as far as you are concerned. A very important book you'll have to clear. Somebody has asked me about books as well. You all have a glossary of literary terms with you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
That is a very important thing as far as net preparations are concerned. Start reading it from the beginning to the end. Start reading it. I'm not asking you to study it. Impossible. Start reading it from beginning to the end, from A to Z. You start reading it and basically you finish it. Plus, I have provided every possible notes with me with Jayanti ma'am. That those were the notes that I used to clear my exam. Eventually, I use that to teach students as well. So you will get all those notes in your WhatsApp group, if possible.
Sure.
Okay,
I'll share it with him.
so
Yes.
there will be the notes are taken care of, and what is to be read is taken care of. I just forgot about all those notes actually. So I don't know how many days it will take to send everything. It's almost like 300 plus odd notes every area. Plus, you will have your worksheets. You will have your annotated answer keys as well as your previous year question papers. Everything is there, so you can just take it from there. So that will be provided in the group.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, there was one question on tips for first paper. Maybe
So,
you
tips for
can
paper.
just give it the tips in a minute or two, and then we can go for the feedbacks.
Yeah, sure. See, for paper one, what I request you is to ask me a question. How many of you find it very difficult to answer max questions? Max, raise of hands.
I think here everyone is very good
Yeah,
in
exactly. That is what I'm talking about. Now, the thing is that finding your core strengths is a very important thing. And how will you understand it? You'll have to start clearing your, start writing your first paper. So, first paper, you'll have to start working on it basically. So, that is where we begin. Then you'll understand your core strengths and your weaknesses. Now, for a you know core subject paper, it will be very hard to understand your pluses and minuses, because basically every year's question paper differs from one year to the other. Maybe a few questions will be asked from a particular area. In certain area, there will be a particular thrust area where questions will be asked more from. But for the first paper, there is a general pattern followed, and UGC has not changed that in a long time. So it is always there. So if you start clearing a particular question paper of a particular year, then you will understand primarily what are your uh, uh, positives and negatives. What are your strengths and weaknesses as far as a uh, question is concerned. Strengths, okay, let it be there, but weaknesses identified. It's not like I don't know this particular area, and I know that 90% of all those aspirants who have gathered here usually tend to do this. That if you have a particular area where you're so weak at, you generally tend to skip that. Most probably that will be statistics. So you usually skip that particular area, which carries somewhere around 10 marks or so, 5 questions or so. So you'll just skip that to one side, and then you'll move on with it. Never do that. Now find your weaknesses and work on it, because the pattern repeats. And that is where, if you understand a particular the very methods in which you clear a particular area, will be useful the next year as well. So understanding the methods is very important. And second thing, you usually do this every time, that once you answer a question, it hurts our ego. So that what we usually do is that we tend to do this game of make believe that I'm okay with this particular area, I can get through. So I can get through, I'm okay with this area, is a clear indication that you're not going to get through. So the idea is all about knowing the methods of clearing the answers. For the core paper, for the subject paper, so knowing the answer is very important. For the first paper, knowing the method of answering it is very important. Second thing is time management. So comprehension, as you know, comprehension passages will be there, and most of us lose our time in reading the entire passage. So for comprehension, for example, you don't have to read the entire passage. This is not ethical while I say this. This is not ethical while I say this. Never go to the passage first. Go to the questions first. Read the questions, find the answer from the passage, write it. This is not about knowing a particular subject in depth or anything as far as first paper is concerned. It's all about comprehending things. That was comprehension. Go to the questions, answer it, come back. Now, you can do that at the beginning. Skip through it, do your, this one, your comprehension first. Then you can go to your most easiest area, finish it, and leave all that hard part for the end. Then you can clear it. Otherwise, you'll be spending too much time on a particular max problem, a logical problem. You'll be sitting there with a particular question for so long. You'll be brooding over it. You'll be spending uh, so much time on that, wasting it, and at the end, you can finish the question. On time. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Thank you so much, Anand.
We need actually for first paper, it's an entirely different session. So it's very hard to clear everything. So really sorry because it's very hard to just talk about every military theory in just 2 hours, finish it off, then first paper as well. So I'm very sorry about it, but eventually you'll all make it. See, how many, I don't know how many of you are here, but who are aspirants, but see, there is a high chance that if you have made it to a postgraduate degree program, there is a high chance that there is absolutely a 10% chance that you can clear this exam. After all, this is just another competitive exam. You are not expected to understand each and everything about literature. It's a long process. See, we can't see. Think about our stature. We are even in a limited. We are in very much limited options even to understand comprehensively every aspect of of our own mother language and its literature. Think about varied streams of literature that exist now and which had existed before around the world, and to understand them requires the work of a lifetime, and even a lifetime only enough to understand it all. So the entire idea about studying for net is not increasing the horizons of our knowledge. It's all about the craft of a 3-year examination, which is to be completed in a stipulated time and under a stipulated syllabus. So it's an exam. This is not a race for gaining knowledge or anything. So to gain knowledge, it is very much a structured process which takes time, which takes resilience, which takes your patience, which takes many things. It depends upon each person's ability to persevere and research deep into the subject areas. But this is a very simple exam that we are talking about here. It all requires a craft to crack the exam and nothing else. So it's not about your IQ. It's not about having a IQ par excellence or something. It's basically an exam which just requires your time and your smart work. That's all. I don't even recommend hard work. Hard work spoils many things nowadays. For exam, hard work is required for many other things, but UGC NET doesn't require hard work or anything. Just stay happy, just prepare for the exam, clear it up, and come out with flying colors. That's all. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ananda Krishnan, for your elaborate answer. You have actually made it easy and simple for all, I think. By this time, they would have been motivated and they will surely clear the NET exam. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for this opportunity and to talk to more brilliant minds. If I can clear it, you can clear it. That's a entire the bottom line of this particular session. See, every as every generation appear again, they are more brilliant than your previous generation. So I'm talking to more brilliant young scholars who are here with me. So you can all clear this particular session with flying color. I mean, for this exam with flying colors, you can come out, uh, be good teachers, and and create more students who can virtually change the world. Thank you so much for patiently listening on a very good Sunday where uh, you could well be watching at least 2 episodes of a web series on Netflix.
Okay,
Or,
this was like watching more than 2 episodes of their web series, favorite web series. Now it is time for me to present you the certificate for your generosity in accepting our invitation. And I hope your the certificate is visible to you, Ananda Krishnan.
yeah, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you so
yes.
much.
So it is our pleasure to have you with us on this Sunday. You have given your time for us, and I hope the next sessions in which you can cater to one particular theory. That way, I think the students will get more of an understanding of what theories are. Thank you so much, Ananda Krishnan. Kindly
Thank you so much,
accept
ma'am.
this certificate on our behalf.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Yes, it is time for me to show my gratitude to all those who made this program a success. A warm afternoon to the respected intellectuals, scholars, and my dear students. I have come to the end of the 2-day e-seminar on NTA UGC NET. Rather, we have initiated a long-term relationship with the teaching learning fraternity. This is just a beginning. It is time for me to express my gratitude to all who have made this event a success. My head bows to the Almighty for blessing us voluminously. First and foremost, our heartfelt thanks goes to the distinguished members of the college management who support us in all our efforts. Secondly, our gratitude is conveyed to the beloved head of our institution, Dr. Ganesh Ram, for his incessant support and magnanimity in encouraging us in all our initiatives. Thank you, sir. My sincere thanks goes to Dr. Ghanshyam, founder and general secretary of iSpell India, for guiding us and motivating us to facilitate an event. Thank you, sir. I thank the principal of ABC Mahalakshmi College, Tuticorin, for her kindness in collaborating with us for this event. Thank you, ma'am. I deem it a great privilege to acknowledge the encouragement given by our respected head of the department, Dr. Sumati, in all our events. Thank you, ma'am. My wholehearted gratitude is extended towards the resource persons of this 2-day event. Their instantaneous acceptance and enthusiastic presence made the sessions successful. Thank you so much, Ananda Krishnan and Mr. Varghese, for accepting our invitation and honoring us with your knowledge and expertise, giving the happiest hours of the day to the most difficult task. That's it. We will follow it, Ananda Krishnan. We look forward to seeing more sessions for the benefit of the learning fraternity. At this juncture, I have to register a special thanks to Ms. Anita, Assistant Professor of English from our college, more a daughter to me, for introducing us to the resourceful resource person Varghese to this forum. Thank you, Anita. I cordially appreciate the generous presence of distinguished academicians, scholars, and student participants. Without you, this day would not have been possible. Thank you, one and all, for your active participation. I express my sincere appreciation for the support rendered by my dear colleagues who are always a great inspiration to work towards the betterment of the department. I thank Ms. Maheshini, research scholar, for being a technical support and for elegantly mastering the ceremony. Thank you, Maheshini. I appreciate the opportunity given by my dear friend Dr. Bala Shanmuga Devi for collaborating this event. Thank you, ma'am. Once again, I thank one and all for making these 2 days a success. Thank you. Now, the feedback link will be shared with you all. Those who are present can give your feedbacks, and your details will be given to us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ananda Krishnan. It was very happy moment for me to have you in this program. Thank you once again.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It's time to wind up